Well, hello, class. Hello. Thank you for joining me today. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night. Hello, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me today. Today, I'm here to talk to you today about brand equity and marketing. My name is Nicholas Smith. I'm your classmate here at Troy University. And there's a lot of neat things that go into brand equity that I wish to share with you today. And let's take it away. So brand equity, what is it? You know, what what makes it important? Why are we talking about it in a marketing class? Well, these are efforts uniquely attributable to a brand. This is an added value of a brand name or logo that contributes to a product or service. Most research done in sport has been done on consumer goods, not on the sport nature. The actual consumer experience in spectator sport. You drive to a stadium, you park your car in the parking lot, you pay for parking, you walk through security, you go through the front door, get your ticket scanned, make your way through the concourse and go down to the seat. That is the expectation of sport management. That is not, you know, historically what has been done. Mostly brand equity research has been done on sporting goods. Your Wilson and your Wilson basketballs that you can get from Dick's Sporting Goods. Also, this relates into our talk on brand associations. That's anything in consumer memory that is linked to a specific brand, according to David Aker. For example, if you were a fan who attended a Chicago Bulls game in the 1990s, there will probably be forever associated Michael Jordan with the Bulls championship brand, with winning multiple back-to-back-to-back championships all in a short period amount of time. That's something that I'll talk to you today that David Aker would definitely agree with. Why study us? Well, success in sport marketing requires understanding and what factors influence team sport consumption. Aker model consists of four brand topics. This is your awareness, your loyalty, perceived quality, and brand associations. Also, economically, this is your balance sheet. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense, right? You estimate the value of that brand for accounting purposes. Is it worth more in 2022 than it was in 1999? You can value this brand in terms of merger, acquisitions, or divestiture. Brand image. There's less agreement on appropriate definitions. This is a recognized and important concept in marketing, all the way from this article from 1955. Given that's but black and white TVs if homes did have TVs, but mainly print and audio. There's a perceptions about a brand held in consumer memory. Also, brand extension and image matters based on perceived quality and desirable associations. Now, when you think of brand images, if I say, to Art in our class, hey, think of a bowl game, college football game. 9 times out of 10, he is not going to be discussing the Bad Boy Motors Gasparilla Bowl. He's going to be thinking our marquee events, our Rose Bowl games, our All-State Sugar Bowls, our Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Consumer-based brand equity occurs when the consumer is familiar with that brand and they hold favorable, strong, and unique brand associations in memory. First, the consumer must know the brand. They must know what is associated with that brand. You think of the Sugar Bowl. Allstate is they paid big money on that. Before it was Nokia. Before I believe it's PlayStation sponsoring the Rose Bowl, but before it was sponsored by Capital One. Second, the brand must have a positive and unique brand image. You think of the Rose Bowl game, you think of the parade that goes by every year on New Year's Day. This all controls the meaning for the consumer. Now, for a moment, since this is a sport marketing class, I would like us to talk and think about the image of brand equity that we have from the New York Yankees. Take a minute, let me know what you think. This is a strong, powerful image in American sports. We go overseas, they call Americans Yankees. think of what this image means to you specifically. Well, I can tell you from research, from reading David Aker, and from what all these readings tell me for this week, I think of the of um, Canyon of Heroes in Lower Manhattan. I think of the 27 world champions. I think of success on the field. I think of Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth saved the sport of baseball. In 1919, after the Black Sox scandal, not a lot of Americans were wanting to know or enjoy the sport of baseball. It wasn't until this man, George Herman Babe Ruth, decided that was going to be his team that he would transfer to. The New York Yankees were very successful with that. He played on one of the best New York Yankee teams ever. Um, if we called it Murderers Row. That's how cool. That's an awesome name for a team. But I think of right here in Lower Manhattan. I think of the victory parades. I think of Derek Jeter. I think of Alex Rodriguez. I think of Aaron Judge. Um, I think of CC Sabathia. I think of Suzuki. I think of many of these players. And folks, mind you, I didn't go to a New York Yankees game until I was 25, 26. So this is just growing up, seeing what I perceive as a successful brand out there. Also, I think of George Bush. I think of George Bush throwing out the first pitch at the World Series in 2001, just mere months after the destruction of 9/11. Also, this very historic image and video of George Bush throwing the first pitch at the World Series, very movingful. Went right down the middle if you ever look at videos of it. But it's important to note that um, this was his first World Series. He was a part owner of the Texas Rangers, and he said he would never go to a World Series he went to until 9/11. Until he wouldn't go to the World Series until Texas Rangers, until 9/11 happened, and this was his first World Series with Arizona and the New York Yankees. This is a great, powerful image in sports. And this is not just on the baseball field. This is in fashion as well. So you have people, like Madonna and Spike Lee, Jay-Z. There are songs with him talking about the Yankee logo, including Jennifer Lopez. Hey, congratulations, newly married Jennifer Lopez. And also, who can forget the music of hip hop / rock artist Limp Bizkit from the late 90s into 2000s, where I can think of as a young boy growing up, 13, 14 years old. First Yankee hat I ever owned was a red one, just because of this guy wore it in one of his music videos that I saw on MTV. And also, besides J Lo, besides Jay Z, besides Spike Lee, besides all of them, you have yours truly wearing a Yankee cap outside Madison Square Garden. Another brand image that made me think of these readings, Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz holds a lot of patents in consumer safety. You see the commercials on TV. Growing up, I would feel that this was, the top tier vehicle that someone could own. And later I learned that they had a lot of the first patents on safety, including airbags, including rollovers, including everything like that. And I'll talk about other vehicles as well, since one of our authors this week talked about it. Now, Gladden and Milne, they use brand equity in quantifiable terms, meaning that they value the success of your star players, your coach, competitive forces as well. All these facets, all these constructs of sport marketing. You have success, you have star players. This all reaches up into merchandise sales. This leads to more things sold, at the concession stands, at the stadium, at Fanatics, and everything. Now, going into our readings, Keller, 1993, in the Journal of Marketing. He talked about a conceptual model of brand equity from perspective of the individual consumer. This is a consumer-based brand equity defined as differential effect of brand knowledge on consumer response to the marketing of the brand. This is consumer knowledge changes over time based on image. The value that we have based on, say, a brand would change from 2000 to 2002. It would change over time. Dr. Keller comes from, he wrote this when he was teaching at Stanford University. He's also taught at University of North Carolina. He's also now a dean at Dartmouth. So he's still out there, still writing innovative things. In his article, he also mentioned brand extensions. This is something that we see a lot of. We see success and we see failures. Let me tell you about one failure that he wrote about in his article. It was all about this vehicle here called the Cadillac Cimarron. Basically, Cadillac in the 1980s, due to the fuel crisis of that time, they wanted to create an economy car for Cadillac. And this is the design that they have. During that time, Cadillac and General Motors, their parent company, used to develop vehicles, about 3 or 4 of the same vehicle, and they'll just rebadge it. So this was actually a Chevy Cavalier. It was also called a Pontiac J2000, an Oldsmobile Forenza, and a Buick Skyhawk. Now, it's been a long time since I've seen any of these vehicles. A J2000, granted, mind you, Pontiac and Oldsmobile do no longer exist right now, but I sure as well know a Chevy Cavalier and know that's the starting price of about $15,000 back in 2003. Later, Cadillac tarnished, the Cimarron tarnished Cadillac's name when they brought it out. It did not do too well because the name and prestige were tarnished. And this is a blow which the brand would take years and years to recover, according to Hemmings Motor News. The quote from the article from our reading said this led to a decline in the image and sales for the entire Cadillac division. And, when you think of Cadillac, think of those images that you associate with Cadillac. These are some of mine that I think of. I think of Elvis Presley buying his mama a pink Cadillac in 1955. I think of the United States president. United States president rides around in this beautiful vehicle called the Beast from a modified, heavily modified Cadillac. I think of Dwight D. Eisenhower riding around in 1953 in this Cadillac. These are highly prestigious people of, one of the best brands out there. I think of the Cadillac brand in images and films. I think of Ecto One. That was a Cadillac. I think of The Sopranos and Tony Soprano and Paulie Walnuts driving around in their Cadillacs. I think of the show, the HBO show Entourage, with them driving a brand new Cadillac. I think of Tony Montana driving his Cadillac. This was a successful brand that talks about extensive success. When you think of Cadillac, these are the images that you can think of. You don't think of something like this. You think of this. You think of success and power. Brand extension and image matters based on perceived quality and desirable associations. This is a scoreboard at Yankee Stadium. Look at the top brands out there: Pepsi, Gatorade. You watch the Super Bowl, those are NFL partners. They are going to be out there. Ford is doing innovative things right now with their new electric division, with trying to build more affordable electric vehicles with their Mustang Mach-E and that F-150 electric pickup Lightning. These are the brands out there. You're not seeing, a Geo Metro up there, or you're not seeing a Daihatsu up there. You're seeing these are top tier brands, Delta, T-Mobile, Bank of America, Pepsi. These are big brand extensions for one of the biggest brands out there in sports. In our second reading, this one was interesting. This was coming out of Portugal for Biscaya et al. In Sport Marketing Quarterly, they had 585 patrons of a top Portuguese soccer league on brand awareness and brand associations. They translated the survey from English to Portuguese and then back to English. They used content validity through Losch's method. And then 8 sport management lectures were asked to classify the item's level of essentialness, meaning how important it is, how unimportant it is, and what constructs do you need. They had an online pre-test to assess item sensitivity and reliability on a Portuguese website. They put this out there on this website for people to click on and take. The fourth step was to evaluate the model using confirmatory factor analysis, multi-group confirmatory factor analysis, and structured equation modeling. So the results is that brand equity is environmentally sensitive. Knowing fans' opinion about overall performance of a club is also important to build a solid base of consumers and increase the sense of brand community. This can contribute to the attraction of new consumers and maximization of economic profits for the team. The results also indicated that stadium, team history, and brand mark are all things that are also important when talking about brand names in marketing. Also, team tradition, equally important. I talked about the Yankees, Babe Ruth, and talked about the current players. All these are out there that are important for managing these team brands. Also, this is contrary to popular research, meaning that social interaction and concessions were significant predictors of brand associations, suggesting that the experiential benefits are important aspects of this consumption experience. So yes, your trip to go get a soda, to go get popcorn, to go get a little, an Eskimo pie, all important in marketing. This image of a sporting event can be transferred to those brands. Therefore, building brand equity can also be crucial to attracting sponsors and will help to ensure long-term success for brand and sport organizations. Tradition, important factor. Also, you should know that sport brand equity is a constant effort for patrons and trends change. Research did not include nostalgia, rivalry, star players, league quality, sponsor alignment, geographic location, or existing brand community. These are things that this can spring off of, where how important is nostalgia. There's important researcher out of Grandview University in Iowa named Dr. Mark Slavich that studies nostalgia. He even wrote his dissertation on it when he was attending Virginia Commonwealth, meaning that nostalgia is also very important. In our third reading, Stephen Ross in the Journal of Sport Management evaluated brand equity in professional sport design, includes this logo and design of the stadium. Most understood attributes of services. This is the SHIP acronym that he talked about in limitations of brand equity. S is the simultaneously of the product and consumption. You can't separate it. You watch a game at a Lakers game, you watch an intake at the same time. Also, the H is under heterogeneity. These are complexities of services with consistent quality. They must be professional in service, meaning that the person who you buy your parking from must be professional. The guy who picks up the popcorn must be professional. Absolutely, all big things in there. I, intangibility. It's almost hopeless to judge the product and scrutinize before purchase. You don't know when you buy a ticket, to a Los Angeles Lakers game, how is it going to go? You don't know what's going to happen. Checking tickets, parking, concessions, into the stadium, egress, everything like that. You don't quite know, but service quality is one of those big things in there. Also, perishability. Service products cannot be stockpiled and have to be created on demand. You're not going to go to a Laker game today and find, hey, can I get a 2000 World Championship T-shirt? No, you're not going to get anything like that because they sold them out, or if they didn't, they discounted them. Experience of consumers takes an increased importance on the creation of brand equity. And one of my questions is going to go into that of experience of consumers. Also, brand equity must include service marketing, where brand awareness and brand associations lead the value of a sport brand. In our fourth and final reading, Gladden and Funk in 2002 in the Journal of Sport Management evaluated this four-step procedure to examine and validate dimensions. Our first, you had two second groups with two focus groups with sport management graduate students to clarify the conceptual framework of team association. The second, they had survey items that are utilized to test 16 constructs and then pilot tested for reliability and internal stability. Third, they used confirmatory factor analysis and structural equation modeling to examine Keller's conceptualization of brands in team sport. They asked the focus group, why do you follow particular teams and what particular brands were strong? In their pilot test, they had 134 undergraduate students. Then they sent a postcard to 3,000 respondents on a national sports magazine. They had 929 responses, and they wanted to know what was the favorite team and battery of items about it. 48% named a football team, 36 named a baseball team, and so on. And I can guarantee you, if in 2002, dollars to donuts, if they name a football team, it was probably the New England Patriots or the Green Bay Packers. If they named a baseball team, New York Yankees. I would bet money on that 36% of these people, one of them named the New York Yankees. Maybe I should ask Gladden and Funk about it. The results said that trust is an important dimension for team sport brand and consumer. Positive perceptions matter of the team and the front office. The logo is important in the creation brand equity. Miami Marlins just created a new logo right before COVID started for the 2020, for the 19 season into 2020. These are creations of brand equity, meaning that this is a new logo, this is something new. Marketers must focus on proving best possible experience for consumers. Also, you have a team association model, should be a starting point in understanding team brand in sports. This leads to further examination of other dimensions like owners that are associated with teams like Jerry Jones, like Mark Cuban with the Dallas Mavericks, like Gail Benson with the New Orleans Saints. All these are very important when thinking of the team associations of those teams. Also, your attributes, benefits, and attitudes make up the concept of brand image. Your product delivery is important. Your star player, promotions, entertainment. Over in Savannah, Georgia, the Savannah Bananas, which is a minor league team out there, they do a great job with their promotions, with getting people to the ballpark and eliminating a lot of the bad things that were in minor league baseball. The product delivery is definitely important. Now, in conclusion, like I said, brand equity is important, and these are the questions that I would like you all to talk about for your lecture here. Questions for the class: in your opinion, what are the highest perceived brand images in sport management? What other brands have a high brand image? Please cite your sources. Also, what part of the consumer experience in sport is most important to brand equity? Thank you all for listening, and I hope you all have a nice night.